Hello, everyone. Happy Canada Day to all of our Canadian attendees. Thank you so much for joining us on a holiday. We're so grateful to have you here. Another fun thing that we like to do, if you wouldn't mind sharing, is if you've got a win from the week or the month or the year and you wanted to share that win in the chat for us, we would love to hear what's been going on in your world. Hey Ryan, thanks for joining us. Hello, Christian and Meg. We're just going to give everybody a second here to roll in and then we're going to get started. Yes, Christian. Christian learned yesterday all about LeanScaper software, our AI, first in the industry, which is something we're really going to focus on today. All right, so hey, why don't we go ahead and kick it off? Mark, yesterday on our accelerator webinar, you kind of unveiled or had a really big announcement surrounding our LeanScaper software and the AI platform that we're going to be launching in July at our strategic blueprint event. I was wondering if we could start just with an overview of what the software will be, what your intentions are for the AI platform, and then from there we'll go into some questions that we had come in since then.
Yeah, obviously, we have been building a landscape company and building software for the past 30 years. And along the way, I learned many, many hard lessons, most of which were just through trial and error. As we built LMN, we really started to understand just how important the awareness of how to run a business really was. Now, that awareness is not just for the leader or the business owner, that awareness is for everybody in the business. And I think I took a lot of things for granted when I built LMN. I think I maybe forgot what I knew. And I think most people operate this way. When we go to scale our businesses, we forget what we know and we expect that other people around us know all of the foundational knowledge to go out and then execute on the plans that we share. We kind of overlook the fact that the plans that we share only make sense to us because of our life's experiences. And one of the major components of what I really wanted to build, obviously at the center of it all, is an operating system, a way of doing business, a way of creating a common lens on the business itself. I really believe that leaders have a responsibility to help other people unlock their true potential. And the way that we should do that is by showing them what good looks like and making it possible to not only see what progress is, but be able to see it in real time and then help people adapt and use the feedback or the results that they're seeing to then drive change. And I really truly believe that the owners or the leaders in the business need everybody in the business to do that together. That's been a very difficult thing to do in the landscaping industry because we work so remotely. Every crew is out there on their own, doing it their way. And really what I set out to do with LeanScaper, both through creating an operating system to help teams and leaders align on what good looks like, I really felt that I needed to create a set of tools that enable people to do that independently so that we can remove the middle management in a business and elevate those people into positions where they can truly be more strategic and guide the ship and allow the frontline staff in the business to operate more independently, more autonomously, in a way where the information that they need and that they need to share is at the tip of their fingers at all times, whether that be a watch, a phone, or a set of smart glasses. They should be able to access information in real time, all the time, understand what good looks like, understand if they're making progress, how to do things better. And ultimately, I think that we can eliminate a lot of the middle management that, quite frankly, inflates overhead and reduces frontline worker wages. And the way that we'll do this is by really allowing AI managers to have conversational planning meetings with frontline staff, conversational one-to-ones to talk about what's happening, conversations with these people to allow them to manage resources and operate more efficiently. And more importantly, conversations that capture the continuous improvement ideas that these important people have in our businesses. When all of this speaks back to a database, when all of this surfaces these ideas, actions these ideas, updates SOPs, and enables frontline staff to operate autonomously, I believe that we will have changed the industry. It will be far more lucrative for everyone in it, the owners, the frontline workers, and the customers that pay for our services. The value chain will be disrupted by AI one way or another, and I truly believe that the way that we're going about doing it, building an operating system for the industry to align to, creates that foundation.
Thank you for that, Mark. We had some questions yesterday following this announcement on the specifics for the field teams. Can you just give like a high level day in the life of what we expect field crews to operate like once the AI has been launched?
Over time, as the AI learns more about your specific business, you will continuously notice that your need for middle management is going to dissipate. The waste in your business is going to turn into revenue. And the way that this is going to happen is by changing the workflows. And what will happen in this industry and every is basically frontline staff will start their day without the need for a management direction. In the sense that when we created LMN Crew, people could understand where they were going, what they were doing, how long they should be there. This will enable crews to also reflect a little bit on what efficiency looks like and have an impact on efficiency themselves. So this is management of resources. When will my material be there? When do I need my material? Is there a delay? Do I need to defer a delivery? Do I need to bump a delivery up? Is there an issue with the timing on deliveries from a specific supplier? Do I need fuel? Do I need a repair? How am I going to run my health and safety meeting for today? Where should I really be focusing my efforts on continuous improvement for myself and for those that are reporting to me? Where are we making progress and where are we not? And what do I need to change that? Now, most importantly, what we're going to do is connect the results and the progress back to the incentive programming. I believe that we're nearing the end of the hourly worker era. I think we're very close to this. People do not want to get paid by the hour. They don't want to trade their time for money in the traditional way. I believe that people truly want to add more value and they want to be paid for adding more value. AI is going to be the great equalizer. It will allow people to know what good looks like, to see how they're doing in real time, understand when they're making progress, and most importantly, understand what fair pay looks like based on their inputs. This AI is going to make that possible. It's going to turn every frontline worker in the landscape industry into an entrepreneur. It's going to change the game. That's the easiest way to explain it.
I appreciate that. We had a question here yesterday from one of our accelerator members, specifically on how to balance AI with critical thinking. So let's go through the question. It says, as AI tools like LeanScaper AI become more integrated into our workflows, how do you recommend we balance leveraging their speed and power without becoming dependent on them in ways that erode our core skills or critical thinking?
Good question. That is really the foundational reason for us creating the operating system and the accelerator program. We really came to realize, I would say the hard way, building software, that building a really powerful, capable platform does not solve the problem in itself. Education is the key to success. We have to enable people to utilize technology. There's an obvious order to everything in the world, and that is people, process, and then technology. It's been that way for a very, very long time. Now, if you don't enable the people to think differently in your company, then process and technology cannot really do what they're meant to do. And so the mindset of everybody in your company is the leading indicator of all of these things working. And so my sort of quick answer would be, first focus on helping your people understand that technology is a tool that enables them to unlock their true potential. And that's all it is. And what we're trying to do as business leaders is take everyday, ordinary people, just like us, that's all we are too, just mere mortals, ordinary people, and we're trying to surround them with process and technology that enables them to achieve extraordinary results. And if we make sure that people understand that their job is to use this like any other tool to leverage what they know and what they learn each day, then I think this technology is going to be incredibly disruptive. But for companies who just simply sign up for AI and think it's going to fix everything, it will never work, because all AI is doing is it's replacing traditional code, spreadsheets, software code, into logic that can learn on its own without writing code, without building another spreadsheet. And the value is in the questions you ask. That is where the power lies. And if your mindset is not prepared to ask the right questions, then AI is useless. You will not be replaced by AI. You will be replaced by people who know how to ask better questions of AI. And that's why the LeanScaper Accelerator program is where we started. And that's why it'll never go away. People matter.
I love that message. Thank you for that, Mark. You spoke there for a second about AI learning, and let's talk through that for a second. We had a question yesterday from one of our accelerator members asking, once we launch the LeanScaper software, is it not only going to learn about their business, but other businesses utilizing the software? And how will that work to a software user's advantage?
Yeah, the way these databases essentially work is they grab data from a multitude of places. So let's say if you have an AI database that is closed to your company, it will seek answers from that data set. In addition, with our product, it will seek answers from within the LeanScaper community data set. And then it will also seek answers from the large language models that are powering the world that you're seeing in ChatGPT and others. And so what we're actually doing is layering in three very distinctive inputs to create the most logical answer. But we're forming those answers based on what the database knows to be true about your specific company. The reason that we take such a mindful approach to setting up this AI, and the reason that we're explaining to people that you are going to grow into this over time, is because we know that it learns everything from day one about you and your company. And when it's learning that, it is going to be capable of generating much more applicable answers for your specific company. And it's going to go out into those other databases and information to capture relevant facts and figures that don't exist inside of your existing database to serve up a very rich and detailed answer. We've been testing this for quite some time, and it is shockingly good. And there was no accident that we started teaching people to be vision first leaders, purpose driven leaders with clear mission, core values, SMART goals. People matter. We started there intentionally because that's how we need you to onboard into this AI, for it to understand who you are and to truly enable you to build the company that you want to build. At the upcoming event, you are going to use the AI to build your strategy. And the AI is going to have a seat at the table, and it's going to help you execute on that strategy from now until you've reached that vision that you had in mind. And it will be able to connect the dots between you and everybody on your team like nothing you've ever seen. And the biggest growth inhibitor in every business in the world has been the speed of, or the lack of speed in communication and clarity. Great leaders help others figure out exactly what progress looks like, and then they make sure that they can see it. And that's what this AI is going to do in real time for everybody in your company all the time, connected right back to the founder's vision.
That's perfect. We are going to talk a little bit further about Charlotte in a few minutes here, but I do have some more questions for you specific to the AI first. So let's talk through the difference between customer experience and team experience within the LeanScaper AI model. I know yesterday we really focused on both and gave everybody an overview on what that would look like. We've talked a lot today about the team side of things. Can you just give a brief overview on what the experience will be like for a customer?
Yeah, ultimately, I really truly believe that we have failed as an industry at putting customers first. I think we try, and some are better at it than others. But the reality is, in today's world, we do not deliver the experience that people expect. When we book airline tickets, when we book hotels, when we order our groceries, when we order our household needs on Amazon, all of these experiences shape us, and they create a set of expectations. Those expectations start by sort of feeling good in a silo. And over time, we begin to expect those types of experiences everywhere. And I think this has very much taken place in e-commerce and many other aspects of life. And so our expectations now of service providers are very similar to that of what we've experienced elsewhere, whether it's our online banking or our grocery orders. It's easy. And quite frankly, dealing with landscapers and service providers just hasn't gotten to that point yet. That is really ultimately what I believe AI is going to enable us to do. It's going to enable us to help our customers understand exactly what we can do to help them solve their problems. And it's going to allow us to do that in many ways. We can communicate autonomously, we can collect information, we can listen to phone calls, we can scan documents and emails, and we can make sure that when there's a problem that has been identified at any point in the customer journey, that we're proactively doing two things. Number one, solving that for this customer in front of us, but Number two, and more importantly, adjusting the way that we operate to remove that frustration or that flow inhibitor that has caused the problem to begin with. And rather than getting up each day and feeling as though it's Groundhog Day, suffering and solving the same problems day after day after day, I really believe that landscape leaders are going to move on to bigger and better things. Capturing this type of information, communicating on it, and running a continuous improvement program that's AI powered, where in real time you look at a dashboard and see what your top 30 problems are, and you see how frequent they're happening, and you see the return on investment for fixing it, will change the way you lead. It will change the way everybody in the company leads. Opportunities will become clear and solutions will become instantaneous. AI is here to stay. It's going to change everything that we're doing. Everything. Not just your landscaping business, everything. This is the new internet and it's here to stay.
Thank you for that. We had a couple of questions specific to feature and functionality yesterday, and I definitely wanted to address those as well. The first one here is, can you speak to how companies will connect other platforms into LeanScaper AI? What will that experience look like?
This will not just be for LeanScaper. This will be for software as a service. When you choose your AI database, that database will become your single source of truth. Everybody's going to have to choose one. We're first to market. When you choose your AI database, you will inevitably, over time, connect every other software product up to it. Now, software is code-based. It has a database where it stores everything. That database can be opened up and your AI database can extract the data from that database. And the way that AI databases work is very simple in theory. You ask a question and it retrieves the data from the AI database. Now that database has retrieved all the data from every other database that you've connected to it. So it knows everything about your company. Now, then we have another layer to that database, which is everything it knows to be true about the entire LeanScaper community. And then there's other databases, which is the large language models of the world. And so basically what you will do is you will decide what access or what data from what source you'd like to put in our database. And then when you ask a question, it will have that knowledge base from that data from that other source. It's very complicated in theory, but it's actually very simple when you boil it down to that degree. You just look at one source of truth and you have conversations with it. Imagine a world where you just ask your glasses, your watch, or your phone basic questions about your business, and it captures all of the data and answers. It provides insights. It provides ideas. It provides action items, SMART goals. It builds initiatives, projects, directions, standard operating procedures, all from your data. And you just decide what data you'd like to plug into it. That's really what's in front of us. The world of hooking up one line at a time using AI APIs is a thing of the past. It's a total waste of time. Many of the traditional software companies are struggling to know how to adapt because their databases are not AI databases. And so their data will have to be plugged in to an AI database that either they build or that they subscribe to. And I think we will see this transformation happen very quickly. over the next year.
It's really powerful stuff. And I think for all of the landscape business owners joining us today, you know how many different software platforms there are out there. None of them do everything. Having the ability to connect in and have one interface to get all of your data from is something that our industry has never seen before. It's incredibly exciting. We do have a question here specific to HubSpot. So Ryan said, HubSpot was mentioned yesterday. How will LeanScaper AI help us create a workplace for individual departments? Similar to the software Notion, where you can store files in specific work groups, example, SOPs, etc. Is this something that would be included with the AI or additionally linked to it? So almost like a storage solution by department.
Yeah, I think what will happen is you will use your best in class software products for the specific applications that you're using them for. Now, obviously I'm a little biased, but I think LMN is the best solution for the field service management aspect of the business. We need to tell people what good looks like. We need them to go out and record a few things. And then we need to store all of that data in a massive database so that we can collect insights and drive continuous improvement. QuickBooks, same thing. Very much, a data capture software. It's purpose-built, it's unbreakable, and it's got a super powerful database to draw from. HubSpot, that is the product that I have gone with for my son's landscape business. We are building a model for others to follow. Everything I do with Private Paradise is being documented in a way where it can be duplicated many times. Now, as part of a 1-year long project to build out a HubSpot interface that allows for real-time adjustments to marketing, immediate understanding of customer sentiment, a lead journey that will exponentially increase the likelihood to close business, a paid demand gen campaign that will ensure that the frontline teams are booked solid with the best revenue possible. All of these components can only be built today in a platform like HubSpot. I believe that HubSpot is AI forward. They're building around the future. Their databases are bulletproof, and they allow for real-time customer management, real-time customer marketing, real-time lead marketing, and all of that data can be then looked at, consumed, and utilized through the LeanScaper AI database with your permissions. And this way, when we think about the 4 perspectives of the LeanScaper operating system, we're maximizing the customer experience, we're maximizing that financial perspective of the business, we're able to manage operations more efficiently than ever with real-time automated workflows that trigger material orders, equipment orders, repairs, information, all of these types of things. And ultimately, most importantly, we can enable people to do all of this, and we can grow people in real time. We can improve the results of these people in real time. Hopefully that helps shed a little bit of light on it without being too theoretical. But generally speaking, it's a very fulsome approach to utilizing the data from a product like HubSpot to optimize the way that you guide your staff and the way that you handle your customers. So we're using data in a very different way than it's ever been captured before. And I believe that HubSpot is the ideal tool to capture that marketing data and then allow us to act upon it in a way where we get much better results, both for new business, expansion revenue, and also for retention of customers. And so I do believe that a system of record like HubSpot is required in your tech stack. I think the tech stack is going to get very small. You're going to need an accounting platform, a field service management platform, a customer management platform that has marketing automation. And I think there's probably a couple of other tools that are going to be needed, but not many more. Notion is certainly a very valuable tool, but I do believe that AI databases are going to replace a lot of the functions of these project management tools that exist on the market today.
Great response. Thank you, Mark. We've got a question here from Chase Ireland. So he said that he has been adopting technology into his company. They're utilizing ChatGPT, they're utilizing autonomous mowers. And he said overall, the response from his team has been really positive. But of course, there's always some team members who have a little concern around the specifics of technology and how it might eventually replace their roles. So he actually has two questions. We'll start with the first. So, what would your recommendation be on messaging for the frontline team? What clear and consistent message should we be communicating to our frontline staff to help ease their concerns and accelerate adoption of these technologies?
Yeah, it's a really valid concern, and in so many industries, I do, quite honestly, know, not believe, but know that there will be a huge workforce reduction. In our industry, I'll say this. I think what we're going to see is kind of an opposite effect. I think what we're going to see is an incredible opportunity for frontline staff who were considered low-skilled workers or laborers to become highly valuable knowledge workers, experts in their fields. And the mundane work will be replaced by robots. That's inevitable. Chase, specifically, I know you're already doing it. Others here on the call may not be. But when we do this, what actually happens is we have more time to spend on other things that add a lot more value to the business, which end up adding more value to the people in it. And therefore, what ends up happening is we have higher revenue per hour or revenue per full-time employee, which allows us to pay much higher wages. And so I think it's really important that we remind the workforce that they won't be replaced by AI. They will be replaced by somebody who embraces AI. And for that reason, if they learn to adapt and if they learn to utilize AI to make them better, to increase their true potential, then essentially what they're doing is they're allowing themselves to take a step forward. And they're allowing a robot to take a step into a position that maybe nobody should have been doing in the first place. Working in the heat, working in the cold, working in the rain, doing repetitive work that the world calls low-skilled work. I don't know about you, but I really believe that we're just doing the right thing, removing people from that enslavement of those types of roles and elevating them into positions where they can actually focus on strategic improvements, where they can contribute to continuous improvement and feel important in their day and have an impact not only on their own pocketbook, but on that of their team. And in the process, they can help customers get what they paid for, rather than feeling as though we're hiding around the fact that we don't always do what we say we're going to do. And I think ultimately what we're going to see is we're going to see employees really rise. I believe that this is a turning point for the frontline workers. I think there's going to be a transfer of power. The elites have controlled our frontline workers a lot more than we realize. And with this type of technology, when we put the power into the hands of the people, we enable them to reach their full potential. Not just the wealthiest families in the world who send their kids to elite schools and learn the stuff that the rest don't learn. Everybody gets access to that. and everybody gets the opportunity to do with it what they will. And I believe that that will be more motivating for the right people than demotivating. It will take a little time for people to understand all of this, and there's a lot of confusion around AI right now. Many people are seeing the Terminator pop out of the bushes. It's not that way. We are creating a better world for everybody in it by opening up a single source of truth, one that's been very, very deeply guarded for many years. I think what we're going to see is average people elevating at a pace like never before.
I know you've referred to it as the great equalizer before, and I think that really holds true. Chase had a second question here, and I think this is a really good follow-up. So, training for experienced team members. For some of our more experienced and possibly less tech-savvy team leaders, what are the most effective training opportunities or approaches or resources that you'd recommend to help them get up to speed quickly?
I think what you're going to see with AI in general is most of the tools are just conversational. So gone are the days where you log in and muster through a gazillion cells and buttons and ways of doing things. I think what most people are really not seeing yet, because most of these products have not hit the shelves yet, is a very different user interface. A user interface where you're having conversations, the right conversations, with a guide. We didn't use that term by accident. Our intention with our AI is to guide average people to extraordinary results. And I don't think that the learning curve that has traditionally been feared by everybody, it started with our parents with the VCR, and then it became the computer, and then it became the phone and the apps and the software as a service that we all started paying monthly subscriptions for. At first, we didn't understand, why would we pay a subscription to access software? We didn't realize that it was going to continuously evolve at the pace it did. And I think where it's gotten now is to the point where people won't need to learn how to use technology. Technology is going to learn how to have conversations with them. It's very different than the past. So to be quite honest, I don't think that will be a concern in the near future. I think it will be so easy to start using AI that everybody is going to adapt to it overnight. We've seen search go from Google only, more or less, to a massive shift toward ChatGPT in the matter of 1 year. It's shocking. Just search what has happened to search results and where people are getting their information. 1 year from now, everybody will get all of their information from AI because it's a single source of truth. The database that you choose is going to dictate everything.
I think this is a good question to kind of wrap up the conversation on AI, and then we'll jump into some other questions that have been popping into the Q&A here. So let's talk big picture for a second. So industry overall, what do you envision the next 5 years to look like specific to the landscaping industry with the evolution of AI?
Yeah, it's more than AI. I think it's probably AI and robotics. I mean, I think electric plays a big role in things, but generally speaking, I think what we're going to see is a massive shift toward robotics. There will be very few people doing tasks like mowing lawns. Quite honestly, I think we're going to see a very fast-paced change in the way that we excavate and the way that we build as well. I've seen the technology. It's already there. It's working. It just needs a scalable approach to delivery. In other words, the technology is all there, but there is no software to run it. And many of the people that have built the most powerful robots have not actually put those robots out into the market yet. And the reason they haven't done it is because they don't have software to power it at scale. And I think that the robots, we'll call that the hardware, that's going to be the easy part. The hard part is building software that manages these robots, that puts them in the right place at the right time. That's where all the magic is. Now, I think everybody here knows that Tesla just got into the taxi business. I think that means Uber is no longer going to be in the taxi business. Their days are numbered, no different than the taxi companies. It's over. We can't have people driving taxis competing with autonomous vehicles. It's simple. That's a good example, I think, that everybody here should be thinking of. What happens 5 years from now? Will there be a robotic mowing company that cuts everybody's lawn in North America? Could that be yours? Hopefully the answer is yes for you. Everything has changed. Every business model has been disrupted. Your ability to utilize AI to manage all of these other technologies is the secret to winning. That is why people like Elon Musk have invested so deeply into AI and hardware at the same time. The two will merge and replace a lot of the mundane activity that people have done and maybe should have never been doing to begin with.
All right, we are going to pivot from AI. We do have a couple of questions in the Q&A here. So the first is from Caleb Amen, and he says, when should we jump in and save team members with executive decision-making and solutions versus letting them figure it out the hard way and expensive way, forcing them to create solutions on their own?
Always. So Caleb, the situation specifically always dictates a slightly different answer, as you well know. But generally speaking, there's this fine line between being a control freak and enabling other people to learn from their mistakes. Now, obviously, we don't want to let people fall flat on their face. That just kills momentum. But at the same time, we do need to allow people to experience a little bit of friction so that they grow. Many of us avoid stress. We avoid hard situations or hard stuff physically, mentally, spiritually, because, I believe that survival of the fittest, taking the path of least resistance is part of our nature to protect ourselves. But in the workspace, I really think that letting people experience all of the frustration, all of the setbacks, all of the things they fear most is healthy, because that allows them to grow. I think the key thing, though, is to be the type of leader that helps them understand what good looks like, exactly what progress looks like. And when they get a bad result, I think it's your job to help celebrate the fact that we have the clarity on what happened, and then coach them on where they might consider making the changes in order to get a different result. And so every situation's different. But we have to do this always, because when you decide to lead a company or lead a department or lead a crew or lead yourself, I think what you're ultimately doing is you're making a commitment to improvement. And the only way to improve is to embrace results as being a gift. Good or bad, they're telling you something. Good results tell you what to do more of, and bad results tell you what to do less of. Either way, it's a gift. And so I think, intervention should happen once somebody has felt the resistance, or they're seeing that they're not progressing. And so, generally speaking, let people see a result, but make sure they see it, and then help them find their way forward by just coaching and advising. If you give people the answers every time, they'll start doing the thinking. And that is not what we want. We don't want to be surrounded by people that don't think for themselves. It's not a fun place to be. We've all been there and we've all put ourselves there, but ultimately we want to be surrounded by people who believe that it's okay to talk about results, good or bad. And we want them to trust us enough to help them forward.
Excellent response there, Mark. We've got another question here from another Caleb. Other Caleb says, for a design build business, what are the top 3 key hires for a company at 550,000 in revenue year to date?
This always varies based on the founder's personality. It's very hard for me to say, not knowing your personality strengths and your skills and whatnot. But generally speaking, at 500K, if you're on your way to $1 million, I always kind of go by the ones and the threes, getting from 0 to 300 and then 300 to $1 million, very different set of skills needed. So as an owner, first and foremost, focus on seeking mentorship and really understanding what you don't know and learning that from people who have done what it is you're trying to do. So first and foremost, focus on evolving as a leader. Now, those key hires around you, I believe that you have to have somebody next to you who can manage the office. Now, they don't need to be a CPA at your size. They do need to be able to work with a CPA. And so having some financial acumen and understanding the basics of accounting is a pretty important component. This person is going to manage the office, and managing the office involves really a number of things: managing the customer experience, managing your employees' experience, and then relaying important information to others in the company, whether that's in the field or, as I said, a third-party accounting firm, could be anybody. So this is a really key position. So I don't know what the title has to be in your company. It could be office manager. It could be something slightly different. Administrative assistant, could be whatever you like. At 500,000, I wouldn't suggest using any titles above manager. I wouldn't call them a director. I wouldn't call them a C-level. They're just not at that level yet, and neither are you. You get there over time. And so what I would say is an office manager, and then what I'd really be focused on is building somebody into an operations type leadership role. Now, this could just be one of your field crew managers or foremen, you might call them, but really grooming that person up to understand exactly how you make money, how to optimize things, how to train others, how to build people, how to co-develop systems, how to maintain accountability. That type of field person is an integral part of your growth. And so at your size, I think optimize yourself, build somebody to lead the office, and build somebody to lead operations, and you'll be well on your way to evolving an org chart as time passes and scale permits.
Really good advice. I think always hiring to your weaknesses, perhaps not exactly weaknesses, is a good way to go about it for sure. We've got a question here from Albert, and it's a really good one. I don't have his revenue, but I think it's probably something you can still answer. So the question is, our ideal customer for maintenance has shifted in the last few years. It used to be heavy residential, and now they're really focused on HOA and commercial properties. They do still have some residential clients, but they aren't interested in actually taking on any more. They suggested removing the residential maintenance language from their website in order to ensure that they don't continue to get those leads coming in. What are your thoughts on that?
If you've made a conscious effort not to work for homeowners anymore, then I would absolutely change the website. I think once you've created a strategy, a 10-year vision for the business, then everything that your brand represents needs to shift to support that vision. Now, again, I don't know enough about your business, but if your 10-year vision is to be the market leader at servicing HOAs, then from this point forward, everything that you say, everything that you do, every system that you build, every social media post, every conversation, every team training, every SOP, every last thing needs to serve that vision starting today. And if you have other things that you're focused on or that are getting in the way of you getting that focus, then you should eliminate them. I really truly believe that when we get a really clear vision and when we build a brand around that vision and when we build an operation that serves that customer better than anybody else, then you will crush everybody in your market. And so be ruthless about sticking to that vision with everything that you do. And don't be fearful of losing a little revenue along the way, because everything that you are building your company to serve will dictate how much revenue comes in. If you are the best at serving HOAs, they will be lined up waiting for you.
Perfect. We've got one more question here specific to marketing. So the question is from Thomas. He says, I've been struggling to get new leads. What is the best way to market and get new leads? So I imagine he's wondering, should he be focused on his website? Should he be doing social marketing, printouts? What are your thoughts, Mark?
We're going to cover this in Charlotte, not to plug the event. This is a hard one to answer in a few minutes, but I'm just going to say it this way. Focus on making sure that your brand actually speaks to your ideal customer profile. The number one thing that I noticed over 25 years of teaching contractors how to budget and build business plans is that there was no clarity on who their ideal customer profile was, and therefore there was no clarity on the brand that they built. Now, the brand is everything. It's not your logo, right? Of course, that's a component. But the brand is who you are, what you say you are, what you look like, what services you offer, how you package those services, how you price those services, how you present those services, how you describe what you do on the website, on your social media posts. It's literally everything. Now, if you don't know who you're talking to, and if you don't know what their pain points are, and you don't know exactly how to match your products and services to those pain points, then you end up with a pretty disorganized marketing campaign or program. Now, when you start there and you get that really clear, then your website's better, then your flyers are better, your door hangers are better, your truck signage is better. What is it that you're selling? And then all of the channels that you go to activate work better. Now, oftentimes people say, what should I do first? And I always hesitate to say which channel gets more leads, because regardless of what channel, whether it's paid social media or paid Google or direct mail or email or outbound sales, none of those work well if they land on a website that doesn't speak to that customer, that doesn't speak to their pain points, that really doesn't resonate. Whereas if they land on your website and everything feels like it was built for them to solve their problem, then they're going to click the book a meeting button. But if there is no book a meeting button and there's no clarity, they're going to bounce. And so I do like to tell people, start with brand, make sure the website is rock solid, and then amplify the messaging with social media, direct mail, email, outbound calling. Depending on what ICP you're trying to sell, make sure that your brand assets and your portfolio are bulletproof, and then do not start spending money on any of those channels unless they're going to land on a website that resonates. Otherwise, you're just pissing money away.
I will just do a quick plug for our LeanScaper advisors. We do have a team of marketing advisors that are available for hire. If that's something that you're interested in, please connect with your guide. Some of the best in the industry have aligned with us, and those of you who are coming to Charlotte will get to meet them in person. We are right at time here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today on Canada Day. We wish you guys a happy Canada Day. We wish our friends in America a happy 4th of July. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. If you do have additional questions, you're welcome to drop them right in our community. We're happy to answer them there, or reach out to your guide and we can ensure that those questions get answered as quickly as possible. Mark, as always, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.